This is all about using semicolons and colons, punctuation marks in your English. A lot of people overlook these and just really concentrate on commas and full stops. But these two little guys are really, really useful with your OET writing. Now, colons indicate the start of a horizontal list. So in English, in your letter, you might be writing something like the patient is taking much medication. Oops. Much medication, colon. I'll make this a bit larger and also put it in black. Wait a minute. Because you can't see what I'm doing here. Right. The patient's taking much medication, colon. Now, instead of writing amoxicillin here and followed by Panadol Forte and Indocid, I don't know all these things. What else is there? Metoprolol, right? That's a vertical list, and what you need to do in OET writing is horizontal sentences, right? It's got to go across the page. So if you put this little colon here, now you're going to start making a horizontal list. So you say, patient taking much medication, colon, and then you type in amoxicillin, Panadol Forte, Indocid, and Metoprolol. Right, get rid of these ones. And that's a perfectly good way of doing that. Now, you might need to put in the actual dosages and frequency, how strict, how heavy a dose, and how often, right? So it's amoxicillin, and then you put in that it's now I don't, just bear with me because I don't know. I'm not a pharmacist, all right? So let's say it's 100 milligram twice a day. This one, right? And Panadol Forte. I don't know, 120 milligram as required. And Indocid is 10 milligram in the mornings, money. And Metoprolol, and that's 10 milligram I don't know, TID, 3 times a day. Okay, so now, that looks a little bit confusing. So this is where the semicolons come in, right? The semicolons separate items in a list, right? So here what we've got to do now is put a little parenthesis before that, and at the end the BD, right? And then a semicolon to separate it from the rest of the list. Panadol Forte, it's 120 milligram as required, right? Comma, and instead of that comma, we're going to put a semicolon. And Indocid, 10 milligram in the mornings, you do. And of course you don't put a semicolon there because you've got this word and it goes before the last word, the last thing on your list. And here we've got 10 milligram TRT. Right? Now, don't get too scared about using these things. They're really, really useful. Right. So you've got the patients taking medication, much medication, and then they could have 20, 30, 40 things in this list. Right? Now, the value of doing it this way is in a very long consultation, when you've got many consultations, so that's been itemised way back in 2000 and this patient started to come to see you, and they had all these problems, and this happened. And then in 2005, and 2 visits during 2005, and then in 2008, and then in 2010, and it goes on and on and on and on, right? You take a long look at this case study, and it's case study, at this long case study, and you think to yourself, my heavens, how am I going to get all this into a letter in 180 to 200 words? It's not that difficult, all right? So you do something like this, and you deploy your semicolons and colons. I'll show you. Start off with the word since, very useful. Since 2004. This patient has been attending my clinic with respiratory and cardiac problems. That's an all-encompassing explanation. Now, you can put, at the end of that, you put a little colon because you're about to make your list. So you say something like chronic asthma, and that was in 2004, 2006, 2010, 2014, and 2019, and a semicolon. That was the asthma. Now they had cardiac problems, so cardiac, so whatever they are, something arrhythmia and all this sort of stuff. And again, you put down just the years, so it could be 2015, 2018, 2020, should be and 2020, semicolon. Right, so you just, and so on. So you just keep listing them this way and putting the years when they had these problems. Now, you can then do a separate paragraph, treatment for these problems. Treatment for these problems has included metoprolol, and here you put 2004, 2008, and 2020, semicolon, and then Ventolin and Intal or something. I used to be asthmatic, so I've got some idea of these medications. It's been years, over 30 years since I've taken any of the stuff, so my memory's failing now. So Ventolin and Intal, and that could be all the years when they came to see you about the asthma, all right? So if you do it this way, you're going to really truncate, shorten, squash into 2 paragraphs, a 3-4 page long case study. And you start off with this word since, ever since this year, right, which means it's current, and it goes right up until the current year. Problems that this person's had. And treatment has included all of those things, right? So we get the better word instead of treatment is medication. I could say that. Treatment and medication. So some of the treatment could be things like cognitive behavioural therapy and hydrotherapy, walk, in a heated pool, and physiotherapy. And it's not actually medication that you consume and take and have with injections. It's other kinds of therapeutic solutions to the problem. So there you go. Now, I have prepared a couple of things here. What we might, yes, here we go. We've got these ones here. This is better. I'm going to put this. Now, do these exercises here require semicolon? Where could you put a semicolon? Or where could you put a comma, right? There was nothing he could do except wait. The knight offered him a cup of tea. Now, is this connected to that? What do you think? Huh? There was nothing he could do except wait. Who is he could do except wait? And the nurse, this man, is in some kind of medical environment. Is he the doctor? Don't think so. Probably relative of someone who's having an operation, right? So there was nothing he could do except wait. But the night nurse said, "Oh, would you like a cup of tea?" He probably said, "Yes, that'd be really nice." So these two are actually connected. So what you do is you put a little semicolon, because it means that the next bit is related to the first bit. So what we've actually got here is there was nothing he could do except wait. That's a sentence in itself, and it's what we call an independent sentence. If you wrote, the night nurse offered him a cup of tea, that might be a really good start to a chapter in a book. But the two things are actually related. So this is the subordinate clause. It goes after the independent clause. So when you've got something like this, you're getting very smart, and it's called a complex sentence. If you can if you can put your words into complex sentences, join this bit with this bit, right? So this is the independent clause here. Independent, stand alone. This bit is kind of connected to that one. It's a subordinate. You're getting very smart. You're writing complex sentences. Go to the top of the class. Okay. Finally, things were settling down. Ambulances had stopped calling in. The cleaner had wiped the blood off the floor, and an orderly calm had enveloped the space. Huh? Sounds like after a hectic lot of emergency with ambulances coming in, there could have been a huge, massive accident on the freeway or something. So what do we put here? They're all connected. But this is like a horizontal list to start with. So first of all, a colon, right? Ambulances had stopped calling in. Semicolon. The cleaner had wiped the blood off the floor. And, this is the last bit, so no semicolon, and an orderly calm had enveloped the space, full stop. Number 3. It was 6 a.m. and John was starving. Another hour before his shift finished. He desperately needed a strong coffee to stay alert. These are all connected. It was 6 a.m. and John was starving. Okay, we're going to put in here another hour before his shift finished, semicolon. He desperately needed a strong coffee to stay alert. Birth had been straightforward, no complications. An easygoing mother and a lovely baby boy. It was days like this that made midwifery. It was days like this that made midwifery all worthwhile. All right? The birth had been straightforward, no complications. An easygoing mother. I'm going to retype this and show you what I think this should be like. Right? The birth had been straightforward, and then I put a little dash. No complications, full stop. And easygoing, again I'd hyphenate this, easygoing mother and a lovely baby boy. Another dash. It was days like this that made midwifery all worthwhile. Now, you could write it, the birth had been straightforward with no complications. That's fine. Why does it do this, eh? With no complications. And easy going mother and a lovely baby boy, and there you've just put a semicolon. It was days like this that made midwifery all worthwhile. If you do it this way, you've got sort of two sentences. Do it this way, it's two sentences. So it is, but it's got these little dashes. A dash is it's a very dramatic thing to put in, actually. I don't know whether we should teach you how to do this or not. The birth had been straightforward, no complications. The man died peacefully, surrounded by family. The vet gave the dog the Nembutal. Dash. 2 heartbeats later, the dog had passed away. It's sort of very dramatic, very outstanding bits of information. I think you can separate them with a little dash. All right, so I hope this has all been informative. I haven't rabbited on too much. Using colons and semicolons is really, really important, and I'd like you to, if you do any of letters for the OET workshop, have a go, all right, particularly when you've got a slightly longer case study. All right, that's it. Good.